legal. America, nobody left out. Nobody's going to be left out. Nobody. Now, we also have to have a serious effort to overhaul education and make it internationally excellent, beginning with, and to do it for our economy's sake and our future's sake, we have to do three things. Hillary's plan says, first, universal pre-kindergarten for all of our children, for those that come from poor families and need the preparation. Second, dramatically change Leave No Child Behind. It is not working. Leave No Child Behind was a good faith effort that went awry. They really did want to say, okay, we're going to invest in raising standards. What they said was, you have to give your children a test every year for 5 years. And we're going to give you federal money based on how your kids do on that test. Then the government winked at the state of California. Winked at them. Said, but don't worry about it too much. You get to pick the test and the passing score. So you wind up with the worst of all worlds. You're trying to raise standards to global levels, right? The real exams show that our kids are pretty competitive at the 4th grade level, that there's a gap at the 8th grade level, that it gets pretty big at the 11th grade level. So if you wanted to catch up, you'd set a hard test with a high score, right? And say, I don't care if it takes us 10 years, we're going to gain on them. Every year we're going to get better. And if you did that, you would be rewarded by losing your federal money. But if you pick an easy test with a low score, you'll get a check and you might lower the quality of education. This is crazy. It's a classic example of what the great Mark Twain said, that there are two things no human being should ever have to watch being made: sausage and laws. And so here's what Hillary thinks we should do. First of all, the federal government should spend the money to recruit, properly train, and deploy teachers in the shortage areas in science and math and technology, and should do it in a way that our young people do not have to be deprived in their schools of arts and music education and the other things that help them learn. Look, we now have a wealth of research on how our brains work, and they all work differently. For example, some of you will only remember some things I say tonight. Others will remember a completely different set of things I say. Some of us learn best by looking at a computer screen. Some of us learn best by reading a book. Some of us learn best by listening to a lecture. And all of us learn better if we're exposed at an early age to music. Nobody knows quite why, but we do. Some of us learn more. Some of us learn more by doing things. One of the reasons that the Indians have improved their education is they began to teach young people in elementary school outdoors with the environment, so that they had physical manifestations of the lessons that were being taught at an early age. The point I'm trying to make is none of this is addressed by Leave No Child Behind, and we got a terrible teacher shortage. The second thing she thinks we should do is to find the schools that already are performing at international levels of excellence. And there are some, without regard to race or income, all across this country. So pick 20 elementary schools, 20 middle schools, 20 high schools. Find out what they're doing right and pay to put that in every other school in America. That will work much better than Leave No Child Behind. And finally, she believes every young person in this country that wants to go on to college should be able to do so, and we should make it financially possible for them to do so. Now, in the years I served, we added 13 million young people to the ranks of those getting college aid, the biggest expansion since the GI Bill in World War II. And we made it easier for them to pay back their loans by being able to borrow direct from the government at lower interest rates, and then by being able to fix their loan repayment as a small percentage of their annual income. so that no young person was ever deterred from borrowing more money to finish college for fear they'd never be able to pay it back, because now they can fix it as a percentage of their income. Now, guess what happened when we did that? The students saved $9 billion, $1,300 on every $10,000 of loan they had to repay. But the taxpayers saved $4 billion because the students didn't default on their loans anymore. They could afford to do it. So, she has proposed an expansion of the grants and the loans and the AmeriCorps service projects that help people go to college. And she has proposed to reinstitute letting people pay it back as a small percentage of their income. And she's gone one better. She says if you get a college degree and you go into a public service, if you're a teacher, a nurse, a police officer, a fireman, a mental health worker, if you're doing something that requires education and you know you'll be rich, the service, you'll never be rich, the service itself should constitute loan repayment. So every year you work, you knock off part of